Hello, and welcome to segment number 2 of A Year and a Day, your journey through the seasons. I'm Afira, and today we'll be discussing the Wheel of the Year. Now, if you haven't done so already, please do check out segment number 1, where I explain who I am and why I think you should listen to me in the first place, as well as what A Year and a Day journey is, and how I think it can change your life. So let me start by asking, what do the seasonal holidays mean to you? If you've watched the previous video, you know that I actually wasn't raised to celebrate any of the popular seasonal holidays. For a little bit more about that, read the blog post that accompanies this video for a little bit of insight as to why I wasn't allowed to celebrate them and why they're so important to me now. If you've grown up anywhere in the Western world, you're very likely familiar with the popular holidays of Christmas, Easter, and Halloween. But did you know that these holidays could have their roots in ancient pre-Christian agricultural celebrations? If you place those three famous holidays on a circular calendar, you'll notice that their dates match up almost perfectly with solstices, equinoxes, and cross-quarter days that mark the location of the Earth on its orbit around the Sun. So, what is the Wheel of the Year? Well, the Wheel of the Year is generally thought of as part of the neo-pagan or Wiccan faiths because that's the school of thought that gave birth to the term Wheel of the Year. However, it really just refers to the circular calendar that gives renewed meaning to the cycles of life that were valued by all of our human ancestors. In ancient times, everyone had to learn to live in harmony with nature because it was literally a life or death situation. Our ancestors knew that the only way to survive and thrive on Earth was to work in harmony with the Earth. And today, when there are so many environmental issues caused by the lack of harmony that humans have with the Earth, a lot of us are returning to these values. Before there were luxuries like supermarkets, central heating, and tap water, people relied on their local environment for everything they needed, and it was absolutely imperative that they learn to understand and revere the cycles of nature. Because of this, many ancient cultures derived their spirituality from the energies of the Earth, Sun, and Moon. The Wheel of the Year focuses specifically on the phases of the Sun and the effect it has on us down here on Earth in the form of the seasons. There are varying opinions on where to start your year-in-a-day journey, but the fact of the matter is, the Wheel of the Year is a circle, and you can begin wherever you want. Many choose to think of the winter solstice, aka Yule or Christmas, as the start of the new year, and we'll delve deeper into why that is in a later article. For my Year-in-a-Day program, we're beginning with the autumn equinox simply because it's my favorite of the 8 celebrations, and it happens to be where I began my first Year-in-a-Day journey last year. So, what are the 8 seasonal celebrations? As you go through your studies, you'll notice that there are different names and titles for practically everything in the nature-based spirituality path, and this is because these ideas cross over many faiths and cultural traditions. But in essence, they all have their basis in nature, and the primary needs and desires of every human being. Because our online community is made up of individuals from all walks of life, I'll generally be keeping the terminology as non-denominational and secular as possible so that everyone can relate to it in their own way. I'll generally be referring to the 8 seasonal celebrations as, well, celebrations. Alternately, you may hear them referred to as Sabbats, Sabbats, holidays, festivals, and so on. I like to call them celebrations because the terms Sabbath or Sabbat may bring up religious connotations that don't resonate with everyone. Holiday implies that these celebrations are either holy or fun, which they can be, but not always in the traditional sense. And of course, festival implies that you have to have a large group communing with you in order to celebrate these things, and that's of course not the case either. While these celebrations are wonderful times to bring people together, some of them are more quiet and introspective than others. As a solitary practitioner, I went through my first Year-in-a-Day study completely alone so that I could gaze inward and gain a deep connection and understanding with my place in the universe. Now that I've done that, I feel more ready to include others in my second time around. Remember, whatever words you choose to use and however you feel called to celebrate is entirely up to you. I'm here just to provide some fun discussions and exercises to keep your ideas flowing as we go along. So let's jump right into it, starting with the autumn equinox. September 21st is the autumn equinox, when the length of the day and the length of the night are equal. After this day, the nights will begin to grow longer than the days, ushering the fall and winter seasons in. This is a time to give thanks for the experiences and accomplishments of the summer and to begin to shift our gaze inward, preparing for the more introspective days of winter. Next, October 31st is Samhain, A cross-quarter celebration, a halfway point between an equinox and a solstice. In some traditions, the cross quarters are actually considered the major celebrations because they really embody the height of the energy of that season. Samhain is known in pop culture as Halloween, and in some traditions it's considered the witch's new year. It marks the end of the autumn season and the last of the harvest festivals. It's about coming to terms with the fact that everything in nature dies only to be reborn again in some other form. It's a great time to do shadow work and to honor those who have passed away. December 21st is the winter solstice, often celebrated as Yule or Christmas. It's the longest night and shortest day of the year. Because the Earth is in its hibernation phase, this is a time to celebrate your home and family, to gather indoors and appreciate what keeps you warm, cozy, and alive during the darkest time of the year. The next cross-quarter celebration is on February 1st, and it's probably the least popular in modern culture, but it's a vital part of the Wheel of the Year. It's Imbolc or Candlemas, celebrating the midpoint between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. This is a time to remember that winter, no matter how cold and how long it feels like it does not last forever, and spring will surely follow it. It's a time to purify yourself of any stagnant energy you may have accumulated over the winter and to begin to think about what you're choosing to manifest in your life as the weather warms up. March 21st is the spring equinox, known as Ostara or Easter. Opposite the autumn equinox, the days and nights are the same length again, only this time the days will begin to grow longer than the nights. This is of course the celebration of the beginning of spring. It's time to begin to emerge from our winter cocoon, to recognize the budding fertility of the earth and of our potential to manifest a fulfilling summer season to come. May 1st is Beltane or May Day. This cross-quarter celebration is the recognition of abundant fertility. The summer is in full swing, the seeds have begun to sprout, and love is in the air. This is the time to honor nature in the height of its fertility, to acknowledge the potent life force energy of plants, animals, and people alike. The summer solstice falls on June 21st, and it's known as Litha. This is the longest day of the year, and while summer still feels like it's just getting warmed up, we also understand that the sun is beginning its waning cycle. At this time, we honor the fullness of the sun, relaxing into nature and recalling how much we missed the sun's warmth 6 months ago at the winter solstice. This is literally a time to stop and smell the roses, to embrace the present moment. August 1st is Lammas or Lunasa, the first of the harvest festivals and the last celebration of summer. At least where I live, at this time of the year, it's as hot as it's ever going to get. And while it's certainly not autumn yet, what was once lush and green is now beginning to fade into burnt yellows and browns. It's time to embrace the summer one last time and to reap the benefits of the summer fruits and flowers before they fade into fall. And then we arrive back at the autumn equinox again and start the whole cycle over again. What's awesome about the seasonal festivals is that they keep us in tune with nature, both on a physical and spiritual level. Physically, the Earth goes through a microcosm of our life cycle, being born, gaining potential, giving birth to something, nurturing it, and then dying away only to be reborn again with new energy. Spiritually, we can use these seasonal reminders to help us achieve peace and prosperity by setting our goals and celebrations of gratitude, success, and surrender to match up with the potent astrological energy of the Earth and Sun. I hope you enjoyed this overview of the Wheel of the Year. In the next segment, we'll jump right into the energy of the autumn equinox, getting acquainted with the history, traditions, and spiritual significance of the beginning of fall. Until next time, blessed be.